Hi, everyone. So I'm going to give everyone a couple of minutes, obviously. Okay, there we go. I'm going to give everyone a couple of minutes to jump on. I know this is a lovely lunchtime session, so if you've got your lunch, sit down and enjoy it. I'm so excited to be chatting all things gut health with you all. So please, if you have any questions, pop them into the question box so I can read them as I'm going. And I hope you're all enjoying this beautiful Thursday. If you're in Melbourne, not exactly beautiful, but hopefully you've got out for your hour of exercise and vitamin D. And everyone else in the rest of the country, I hope you're just enjoying it for all of us. Anyway, I'll give everyone a little bit of extra time just to sign on here. Hello, hello. Okay, amazing. And I love doing these types of sessions. It's actually going to be so fun to be chatting all things gut health. I'm so excited. I could genuinely talk underwater about poo and gut health and women's health in general, to be honest. So please, no questions are off limits. Ask anything, even if it's TMI. I'm more than happy to answer as well. I'll also add at the end of the session, I will add in my Instagram handle and my social connections. So you can message me if you have something that you're not quite ready to ask in front of the whole world, but you do want to ask. So please feel free to reach out to me as soon as this finishes. But I might as well get started because we've all got things to do today. So hi, if you don't know me, my name is Jasmine. I am the founder of the Wholesome Heart. I'm a women's health and nutrition coach, so I work more of an integrative and holistic approach. I see the body as a whole and all of our symptoms as a whole rather than treating symptoms. I look at our root cause. So I work a little bit differently to some other practitioners that you may have seen. I look at your body from everything from your gut health to your hormones to your lifestyle to the work that you do, the people you surround yourself with. All of the factors come to play when I'm looking at your health in general. I've been doing this for quite a few years now, and I absolutely love it. I love changing women's lives, and I really love the journey that you go on when we start working together. I will give you a little bit of a recap of my journey itself. I won't go into too much detail because you probably don't have all day. But basically, my health journey literally started from when I was born. I was born preemie, and I was also born via C-section, which I'm not sure if you're very much aware of it, but that actually implicates our gut health quite a lot and our microbiome. When you're born vaginally in the natural birth, you do get a lot of your mother's natural microbiome. So when you're born via C-section or preemie, you're actually already depleted in that area. So back when I was born, we didn't really have that knowledge. And so my mum did the best that she could with the knowledge that she had and what she had available to her. But it definitely had implications on my health growing up. I had a really low immunity. I was always getting some kind of that kid that always had something wrong, like sniffles, gastro, tonsillitis, you name it. I pretty much had them as a child. And funnily enough, I didn't grow up as most nutritionists do in a really healthy lifestyle of, fruit and veg and everything's homegrown and organic. I grew up in the really standard Australian diet of like meat and 3 veg, takeaway really quite often, soft drinks, Dunkaroos, chippies, all of those types of things were in my lunchbox. Because we didn't really have the knowledge that we do now of what we should be nourishing our kids with. So again, my mum did the best she could with the knowledge that she had, and hey, it worked out in the end. I ended up learning about it all, so we can't complain too much. But that really set off my health journey because then later into my 20s, I started working really hard. I worked quite a numerous jobs. I was working like 3 at a time, so really long hours. I was not nourishing myself because I didn't have that knowledge base of how to nourish myself. And that then led to a lot of implications with blood pressure. I had high anxiety. I had really bad depression, sleep issues, which led to, of course, digestive issues, constipation. I mean, 2 weeks of not going was a very normal, common thing for me. So if you're experiencing this, you're not alone. There's definitely ways out of it. And then basically what happened is I kept going with this lifestyle, not knowing where to end or what to do next. And I ended up getting chronic fatigue syndrome. If you're not aware of that, it is a really debilitating disease, and you are basically bedbound. So I was bedbound for about 2 years, where I didn't have any social life. I couldn't work or do anything at all. It completely ripped everything away from me. And in that moment, I either was going to become a statistic of someone who is bedbound and this was going to be the rest of my life, or I was going to take back my health and understand what the hell happened. And that's exactly what I did. I started studying nutrition and healed myself, healed my gut, worked from the inside out, rebuilt all of my foundations of health. And here I am now, glowing and healthy and feeling really good. And that is exactly what I love educating women on. Is obviously the gut health is a really big component to me because it does all start in the gut, but it's also just coming back into your body, loving yourself, knowing that you are worth nourishing yourself, and that you don't need to work yourself into the ground. And that is something we can all learn. If you take away anything from me today, please take away that you do not need to work so hard that you burn yourself out. There is ways to work really hard, nourish yourself, and still be flourishing in health. And there's ways to just completely burn yourself out. The candle at both ends, and just be done. And I, if anything, want to prevent anyone from getting chronic fatigue or burning out or adrenal fatigue. So they're really big whys behind what I do. Obviously, digestion and gut health is a really big component to me, and bloating. If I'm sure all of you have dealt with bloating at some point in time, I had severe bloating to the point where most people thought I was pregnant. I would wear maternity pants because I had that severe of bloating literally every single day. And then that again all came back to root cause. There's a reason why your body is giving you this symptom, and quite a severe in your face symptom. And that's what I always come back to. So I will be chatting a little bit today about gut health, a little bit how to improve it and understand it, a little bit about your poo, which is such a big taboo topic, obviously, but to me, it is what I chat about all day, every day. I can never talk too much about it. And so I'll be talking a little bit about understanding what our bowels mean to us and what to look for in yours to make sure that you're having a really good, healthy bowel movement every single day. And then, of course, I'll be chatting bloating because that is my bread and butter, and I could talk about bloating all day, every day. One last thing, I have just had the lawnmower guy come out the front, and he's just started mowing the lawn, so I apologize if you can hear that. Anyway, we may as well get started because everyone has had a little bit of a ramble of what is going on in my life for the last few years, and I'm sure you're over that and ready to hear what the hell is gut health and how the hell can you improve yours. I think the best way to describe gut health, and a lot of us already know this, is there's the saying, all disease begins in the gut. And I am such a big believer of that. Really, really, I am. So many diseases that we have that are even things that you probably don't relate to your gut health really do stem from an unhealthy gut. Things like acne can come back from your gut. Things like psoriasis or eczema. A lot of unhealthy things that we're getting in these lifestyle changes do stem from our gut health and what we are absorbing. So our gut does a lot more than just absorb food and go to the toilet, like make us have a bowel motion and things like that. It literally is absorbing our emotions every single day and our stress every single day. So when we feel, that feeling in our gut when we get nervous and we're like, oh my God, I can literally feel it. Or you get constipated when you get scared, or when you're getting like even more nervous and you really just hit that point and you literally have to do a nervous poo. Your body is literally digesting these emotions. So that's why I say food isn't the be all and end all when we're dealing with gut issues and our health. I literally look at everything that's going on in your world because I can assure you it all makes a really big difference. Our gut is also the home for our microbiome, which you would have probably heard that word a million times. We have things like parasites and toxins in there. Our body is literally doing so much every single minute of every single day, literally while you're sitting there having your morning coffee, while you're just like typing away on your email. Your body is trying to create the most healthy, balanced place for you and for you to thrive. So when our body is sending these little symptoms to you, which again, I will chat through a little bit later, they are these tiny little messages that we should be listening to. We want to be listening to. Don't shoot the messenger with like painkillers and things like that, because really these little symptoms of like, say, weight gain, we get pimples, or we get bloating, we get diarrhea, we get constipation. These things are coming from our body to say, hey, something is out of balance. I'm not really that happy. Can we do something about it? And when we start listening to them and actioning on those symptoms, your life will literally change. Like, I cannot explain to you how much it will change. We're now learning so much about the axes between our gut and brain, our gut and skin, and how much our gut is truly doing with our body. So if you're having pretty much any symptom or any kind of inflammation or stuff going on, I would say check out what is going on with your gut and start there, because once we start there, the rest kind of all falls into place. One other really fun fact that not a lot of people know is that your gut literally is not just digesting, as I spoke about before, with like your food and the toxins and doing all your emotions, it's even breaking down hormones. So people who have hormone imbalances or hormone issues in even like PCOS, endometriosis, all of these things, you actually need to make sure that your gut is functioning really properly so that then your body can eliminate excess hormones and it's not overproducing them. Sometimes we overproduce hormones. Sometimes we actually just haven't eliminated yesterday's hormones and they're still fluttering around. So it makes us feel like we have elevated hormones, but really we're not properly eliminating, which comes back to our gut health there. So that's one really key component that a lot of people don't really connect with your gut. You usually assume your hormone issues are your hormone issues and your gut issues are your gut issues, but they do definitely come together a lot more than we realize. Another thing that I wanted to talk about quickly was leaky gut. And this is probably something, again, you would have heard in our little wellness worlds that we have. Leaky gut is actually pretty common just with what we deal with every single day. So again, we're talking about parasites and toxins and things like that are in our body. But there's things like environmental toxins, just, from the air that we breathe, it may not be the cleanest air. And then also things that we're consuming. So plastics, so many things are actually affecting our gut. Sugars, alcohol, wheat, dairy, all these types of stuff that really can affect our lining of our gut. So leaky gut basically is, here is your lining of your gut when it's super, super healthy, nothing can get through. And as our gut the wall begins to weaken, it starts to separate like this. We don't really want this to happen, because when this happens, literally particles of food, toxins, all different stuff that shouldn't be getting through is now getting through and going into our bloodstream, which causes severe inflammation, which again, we know inflammation causes a lot of disease, it causes a lot of unhappiness in the body and a lot of imbalance. So when this happens, we really want to work on healing and sealing our gut. If you follow me on Instagram, you would know I bang on about bone broth and collagen and things like this that are really good at supporting that, strengthening your gut lining. There's some simple ways to do that, but really nourishing your body, always nourishing from the inside out. Our immune system is situated in the gut, and 70% of it is created there. So if anything, right now, we really want the strongest immune system that we possibly could have, because if we ever come into contact with any bacteria or viruses, we want our body to be able to fight it properly, and it shouldn't be debilitating. Our bodies really are built, they're quite strong and stronger than we probably realize, our immune systems, but they really are designed to protect us from a lot of viruses and bacteria. So we will probably come into contact more than you would realize. I mean, just touching different things, you forget like, oh yeah, there's probably something on that. Hopefully not on my water glass, but touching like the trolleys at Safeway, or, like different surfaces, there's quite a lot around us. And so that gut health that we're talking about, we want that to be robust so it can fight all of those bacteria and viruses that come in, and that doesn't affect us. So it can protect us from literally anything in our surrounds. I mean, if you have kids, you would know they come home with all kinds of goodness and fun and colds and flus and sniffles and that. So we want our bodies to be super strong so we can fight it, and then we can help build their immune systems and build their gut strength so that they can then fight it and build their immunity as they grow older. So how do we improve our gut health? The burning questions I am getting to. Also remember, please feel free to add in any questions that you have into the little box below, because I'm more than happy to answer them as we're going along or at the end. Anything and anything. Remember, I said nothing's TMI. You can still ask me always. What we really want to do, I guess, with our gut health first is eliminate inflammation and eliminate irritants. Because as I was saying before, those irritants can cause that inflammation, that leaky gut, all of the things that we don't really want in our body. And a few different types of irritants that you might have known about are things like Well, things that are more likely to be irritants are junk foods and processed foods. That's a pretty easy one. Lots of sugars. Dairy and gluten can be really irritant, but even other foods that come into our gut, our body, can have an immune response and attack them. So there's probably quite a few of you in the community who have had this reaction where you've eaten a piece of broccoli or you've eaten a piece of asparagus and your body has been like, no deal, we don't want this in our body, it's bad news. There's a reason that your body has decided that something of a quality, like a broccoli or an asparagus, is worth fighting for, when really it shouldn't be fighting that. It should be fighting the bacteria and the viruses that come in. That's when we want our immune system to turn on. That's when we want to attack. But things that are nutritious and whole foods, we don't want the body to attack those. So if you've had symptoms like that where your body does turn on those things, speak with a health practitioner, someone that is aligned with you, and find out the root cause of why that's happening, why your body has decided to attack those. Because whilst we want to eliminate the things that inflame the body, we don't want to do it for a super long time if it's whole foods and things that are nourishing and feeding our gut microbiome. It's really, really important to come back to that and get to the root cause of that. We also want to start encouraging eating more nutrient-dense foods. That's a pretty simple one, but it's something that we probably forget about all the time. One really quick and simple tip is to eat as many colors of the rainbow as you can, or as many different pieces of, you can do colors on your plate, or you can do different types of food on your plate. Try a new vegetable every day or every week. If you have kids, a really fun one is to count how many colors are on our plate. So every single meal you'll say, okay, how many colors do we have today? And make it a game, make it fun, make it exciting. That way health doesn't have to be so boring or restrictive or, just eating plain bland foods. We should be eating the colors of the rainbow. And the more types of whole foods that we're eating, the more types that we're feeding our gut microbiome, and they thrive on that. So if that's one simple thing you can take from today, do it with your kids, do it with your family, or just do it for yourself. Is just eat a variety of veggies and whole foods every single day. Different colorful fruits and veggies, berries, bananas. Then have like all of your dinner. You might have different types of beans. Then you might have carrots, pumpkin, potato, whatever. You mix it up. Do what you do. It's the best part. Makes it more fun, a bit more exciting. Also starting to think about how much fiber you're eating. So fiber is a really big one. Fiber plays a massive role in our gut. It helps obviously create like thicker stools is one way to put it. So it helps it like push it through. The other one is, it creates the thickness in your stool, as in starts to pick up everything. The other one is it helps it flush it through. So we want both types of fibers. We want the ones that get it out of the body, and we want the ones that make it thicker and get it going. Already tongue-tied. So think of things like your whole foods, fruits and veggies are your go-tos. Chia seeds are probably my favorite. Flax seeds, love absolutely those. And literally heaps of nuts and seeds. I think more variety, the better again. One thing to note on that type of thing, if you're having, say, a smoothie for breakfast and it has almond butter in it, then maybe you have a few almonds in the day, and then maybe you make muffins and they have almond flour. Try and mix it up and have different types of nuts. So you might have, say, almond flour, but then coconut flour, but then have almonds, and then maybe have a cashew butter for breakfast. So you're just trying to mix up the different types so that you're not overloading the gut with just one type of nut or food or anything. Like I said, variety is key. Whilst I've talked a lot about improving our gut health with all of our food areas, as I said at the beginning, personally, I work in this holistic approach, which really looks at our whole body and our whole lifestyle going on. So this is one area that I think is vital, that a lot of people really miss out on when they're trying to heal their gut or understand their gut health. Yes, our food is so, so important because it's literally the building blocks to our body and to our health, and to everything going on. It fuels our brain, it fuels our body. But if you are not sleeping, you cannot repair the body. So one really way that I look at this, because most of my clients come to me that are not sleeping very well, it's super common. We're in a bit of a pandemic. Our brains are a little fried. There's a lot going on. Sleep is kind of hard at the moment. One thing to think about with sleep is that if you are waking up every single night for a couple of hours, say at maybe 1 a.m. every single night, you wake up for 2 hours, then you go back to bed. In that time that you were awake, your body had a job. There's different parts of the body that work with different times of the night and the circadian rhythm that it goes with. And say between 1 and 3 a.m. is usually your liver. So if your liver hasn't had the time in that time when you're resting, because it needs you to be asleep so it can use more energy to actually do the jobs that it needs, because it can't do them when you're awake. That's why we do it when we sleep. If you're taking away and you're awake in that time, it's working at a very less percentage of what it needs to do. So the next morning when you wake up, you're going to feel really groggy. You're probably going to feel like, I just didn't get any sleep, and really like a thick cloud you're walking through. That's because your liver didn't get to go through the detox phases. It didn't get to eliminate what it needed to. And so it's feeling heavy. It's overloaded from yesterday's work, and now it has today's work to do as well. So you're going to feel crappy. If you do this consistently for a week, imagine how shitty your body's going to feel. Your eyes are probably going to get a bit cloudy. That's why when people are really like healthy, their eyes are super clear because their whole body has detoxed properly. It's repaired, it is rested, and it's rejuvenated. So when you think about, it doesn't really matter, sleep's like, I don't have time to sleep, I have work to do, I have this to do, I have kids, I have life. Come back to like the real purpose of your body. It needs this sleep. It's like, I cannot even explain how important it is. It is not just about getting a restful sleep. It is really so important for everything that goes on in your body. So sleep is like such a big one. I could go on again for hours of how to improve your sleep. So let me know if that's what you would like to know, because I will share a whole bunch of stuff over on Instagram as well to how to improve your sleep this week. But just a few simple things of turn your lights down when it is nighttime so that your body knows to release the melatonin. During the day, get outside with the sunlight literally in your eyes, not just from looking out a window. Actually get outside in that fresh air so that circadian rhythm can be ignited and your body knows, oh yes, it is daylight out here. It's not 6 p.m. Rather than just having the lights that we have in our house, we actually need the real daylight from the sun. Then put the lights down when it is nighttime and really just give yourself some time to wind down. Like a laptop, you can't just lay down and you can't just imagine that your body would, as soon as you hit the pillow, be like, oh yeah, it's time to go to sleep. No, as you lay down and do that, it starts to slowly shut down. So we need to give the body some time to wind down before we hit the pillow. Now, heading into a healthy poo. Now, this is my jam. There's so many things I could talk about all day, every day. Hang on. Let me just quickly answer a quick question. What do you do immediately if you have bloating and diarrhea? Do you encourage supplements to detox or just eat right? Such a good question. I will get to bloating after this, but in regards to that question, my first instinct is always to ask the question, and if you don't know it, to work with someone to get this question first, is why am I bloating and why am I getting diarrhea? So what is the root cause of that? You probably are getting symptoms from eating something, and then that gives you the bloating and makes you go to the toilet straight away. But there's a reason why your body has decided that, like I said before, like you eat a piece of broccoli and it attacks it and it feels like that's a bad thing coming into your body. So there's a reason for the bloating and a reason for the diarrhea. I generally don't recommend supplements straight away. I always start with lifestyle and food to implement to help the body, because our bodies are really, really smart. When we give it what it needs, that usually knows how to balance it out, and supplements are just supplementation. So only if your body truly needs a supplement, we will give you a supplement. But most of the time you don't need it. Sometimes I will give supplements a couple of months into working with someone, not straight away. The other thing with bloating and diarrhea is diarrhea can be that your body is overexerting. So you might be having more stress, more nervousness, your cortisol might be pumping too high, and that could be a reason why you are eliminating too quickly. And that's something that we really want to look at, because if you're eliminating too quickly, then you won't be absorbing the nutrients that you're eating. So imagine taking all those supplements that you paid $80 for, buying all the organic food that you probably paid $100 for, and you're literally just pooing it out straight away. That's not what we want, and that is what I call a very expensive poo. So get to the root cause of what is actually causing it. Feel free to send me a message as well, Karen, if you want to chat more about that. But a very good question. Like I said, don't go straight to supplements. Don't go straight to that. Come back to the root cause of why your body has decided to do this. And remember, you don't need to know the answers all on your own. You didn't wake up with the innate ability to understand your body. We were never taught these tools. So work with someone who does know how to show you what your body's messages are trying to tell you. Okay, poo time. Poo, poo, poo. Love it, love it, love it. Let's talk about what is a healthy poo and what is not a healthy poo. These are honestly like the best fun topics to talk about because nobody talks about them. I wish someone did when I was younger so that I knew my poos weren't actually healthy, and I probably should have looked into it a hell of a long time ago. But there is a beautiful chart that was posted in the Free From Allergy Instagram book, and I think in the Facebook community as well, the Bristol stool chart. If you haven't seen it, I'll add it when I send all my details and add some stuff into the group later. Now, the Bristol stool chart is a really easy visual to understand the different types of poos that we do. There is 7 types of poos. So they range from being like severely constipated to severe diarrhea. And we really don't want to be on either end of these scales. So with that, we'll go through which poos they are and where you're at. I guess one quick thing to add in would be, and a question that I get all the time, is how many times a day is healthy? This definitely depends on the person. So some people have quite a fast metabolism, some don't. And some will kind of go a couple of times a day, 2 or 3 times a day, whilst others will go once a day, and then some will go every second day. They're quite normal, definitely. I personally think that you should be going at least once a day. And my visual for you to understand why it's so important is that if you don't go every single day, so say that you put all of the things you ate into, and I actually saw this at a conference once, and the visual is amazing, and you put everything that you ate into like a stocking, so that's your intestines. You put in your smoothie, maybe you had a sandwich, maybe you had a salad, you had some snacks, you had a whole lot of drinks, then you had a coffee, maybe a tea, and you're putting all of this into this gross now stocking. All of that's going to be sitting there sludgy and heavy and gross. And if you don't eliminate that in that day, imagine waking up with that the next day, then just topping it back in with your smoothie, your sandwich, your salad, and whatever else that you're eating in that day. So now you've got like this giant stocking that's full of like 3 days worth of food and none of it's been eliminated. You are literally going to feel like crap because you're full of it. So we want to be eliminating these things every single day so that the body can eliminate all of the excess crap. It's taken all of the nutrients that it needs to. It has done what it has needed to do, and now it can eliminate it properly. That, to me, says that your body is super, super healthy and thriving. Now, the types of poo is what matters more to me than how many times a day you're going. Some people need to go, like they'll have their breakfast and then they'll have their lunch and they'll actually go to the toilet after lunch because they're ready to release their breakfast. That's fine. But we want to make sure the body's still utilizing the nutrients properly and getting what it needs to out of each motion. So that's when the Bristol stool chart is really easy. And I've actually got quite a few clients who print out the Bristol stool chart, pop it on the back of their toilet door so they can see very clearly what it is. This is a really fun one even for kids. I know it sounds weird, but get them talking about it. If they understand what a bowel motion is and what a healthy bowel motion is, they'll be able to grow up with such a different relationship to going to the toilet. It's normal and we want it to be spoken about if there's something wrong. So in the Bristol stool chart, like I said, there's 7 different types of poos. Number 1 is like hard lumps. So I look at this like kind of rabbit poos. It's really hard to pass, like, you know, you're straining so much and then only little baby pebbles come out and it's not very comfortable. That is what I call type number 1. In that, I would say you are very, very constipated and we need to address it. If you do once in a while these types of changes in poos, like it might just be a reflection of something you've eaten and that type of stuff, that's okay. But when you're doing hard pebbles, straining poos every day, not ideal. Because like we said before in that stocking visual, if you're only letting out like the tiny amount of it, you're still full of shit. You know what I mean? Like not all of it is coming out. So we want to make sure that we're eliminating properly. Then we get down to like a lumpy sausage. So think of like a picnic. Delicious. Think of a picnic coming out. So it's quite lumpy. There's like bits and pieces. You might have a few little bits like off the pick, like a few little pebbles still coming out as well. That is slightly constipated. So definitely increasing your water and increasing your fiber in those times but bringing in more healthy crucifers greens and stuff, the roughage that's really going to help eliminate it through. Chia seeds I love in that moment as well. Then we have number 3 and 4. Now they are our ideal poos. 3 and 4 are like, think of like a smooth snake. That's like our ideal one, a smooth, soft, smooth, oh my God, smooth, smooth, soft sausage. Okay, now you have to try and say that 3 times. Smooth, soft sausage that comes out, might have a few cracks in it, so it's a little dry, but it's pretty good. It was easy to pass. It came out in one swift move. It doesn't feel like there's pebbles in it or hardness in it. That's a really ideal poo. That's when we're like, you can literally sing and do a happy dance when you do those poos. Number 4 is very similar to that, but without the crack. So it's really, really hydrated poo and really soft and smooth and kind of comes out like a snake. So they're the types of ones that we are aiming for each day. If you go to the toilet and it is a really relaxed experience, as in you just kind of release it, when you wipe, there's not much on or none is what we really want onto the paper. That just says that we've eliminated everything out. So we've done a really good release and a really good evacuation. Then the ones that we move on to are like the more diarrhea type end. So as we get into like number 5 and 6, thanks Lauren, she has popped in the Bristol stool chart for everyone to read. This is amazing. So if you can, please have a look at the Bristol stool chart to make sense of what I'm all talking about. Do number 5. 5 and 6 are really those mushy, soft blobs that are quite wet, and we're lacking a lot of fiber. So add in loads and loads of fiber into your diet, lots more whole foods, lots more veggies, stuff like that. Chia seeds are amazing in this again. I just love chia seeds anyway. Then the one that we're probably worried about, which is what was mentioned before, was that real diarrhea, as in where you go and it is pure liquid. There's no solid pieces. Now this is a sign there's a lot of inflammation. Your body hasn't really been able to digest the food properly, so it's not happy in that moment. And you know when you have diarrhea, it's horrible. It's just like going wheeze, but it's not. So in those times, I really want you to definitely speak to someone if you're suffering from anything on either end, because we really want to be at that 3 or 4 every single day. You can do you can do a couple of poos a day if they're at that 3 or 4. But if you start to go to the toilet, and this is where not the times that you go, but the type of poo matters more. Because if you go, say, 3 times a day, one was a really good poo, but then it goes to diarrhea, then we've got some issues. If you're doing one really good poo and then the other goes to constipation, we've got some issues still. So that's why the type of poo is super, super important. A couple of ways to improve your poos, other than, like I've said a million times, whole foods, good nuts and seeds, good all your healthy whole foods diet, is a couple of tips. One is using a Squatty potty, and you may or may not have heard this one. I bloody love a Squatty potty. You don't have to go and buy a Squatty potty. You can literally use anything like a bucket. You can use a shelf, anything. Basically what you're doing is creating, rather than sitting on the toilet, like, let's try and make this visual. Okay, I'm just going to use my hands, way easier. So this is where we're sitting on the toilet and these are our legs, right? When we go to the toilet, we're sitting in this position. It's actually how we drive a car. It's how we sit in our desk at our office. It's how we sit on the couch. So we've tried to tell our brain, don't do a poo when we're driving, don't do a poo when we're in the office, but when I sit on the toilet in the exact same position, please do a poo. And that is a brain muscle connection that needs to be activated, right? So that's why when you go, you're not always ready to go straight away, or you get up and you're like, oh my God, I need to go. So one is creating that connection between your brain and your bottom to say, go to the toilet now. The second is actually mechanically, when you sit in this position, it's actually a little kink. And when we have this kink there, it means that a lot of our poos are really like struggling to get out at the end. And you might see when you go to the toilet, there's actually like, very weird to explain, but your poo, and then it goes like a smooshed smooth thing at the end, like as if you've kind of tapered it out and squashed it off. That's really because it's gotten stuck in the kink and it hasn't really been able to release properly. Also why we get a lot of constipation and a lot of hard to pass stools. So when you lift your legs up, it actually sits your knees up here, like up at your belly button, and you're sitting in more of a squat position, hence squatty potty. And this is really the most natural position that we should be. When we travel Asia, we see them all have toilets in the ground, and we used to always laugh, but that's actually the best position for us to be in, to truly release everything and release everything easily. So if you can get something just to elevate your knees and elevate your legs, you can't unfortunately hold your legs up, because then you're really activating all your muscles and holding more tension. So put them onto like the bath if it's not too high. Put them onto a drawer if you can pull it out. Just get a bucket or a stool and you can sit there and do that. Again, this is why kids, when they're in nappies, they sometimes sit in a squat position to do their poo. They innately know this. We just change it as we go older because of the Western design of a toilet. So that's a really, really good one. And my second tip for a really good poo is slow down and chew and eat mindfully. Remember that our gut health, like our digestive system, actually starts in the mouth. Our teeth are there to do a really big job. When you see your food coming or you smell it, you start to salivate, when your mouth gets a bit wet, that's your digestive enzymes releasing. That's the stuff that's going to help break down the food. Then those big old chompers, they're there to help break it down physically. So when we eat, we're actually meant to be like pulverizing our food, but very, very rarely do any of us do it. And I'm not perfect. There are definitely times I hoover my meals in and I don't eat slowly. But if you just come back to like doing as many times as you can remember to slow down, a really easy way is to say, okay, with every mouthful, I'm going to do between 15 and 20 chews. And that is a hell of a lot, I can assure you. I say 15 to 20 chews, but because if I told you to do 10 chews, you'd do 5. So I'm sure you'll do 10 chews per mouthful. But if you can break down your food as much as possible, that's going to give you the best chance to then have less bloating, less digestive issues, better absorption, and a way easier poo. So you're not putting as much stress on your stomach when it finally releases into it. Your stomach acid doesn't have to like work so hard, and your stomach isn't like, oh my God, guys, can the teeth just start doing something? When you just kind of like put it in your mouth and you go chew, chew, swallow, chew, chew, swallow, chew, chew, swallow, and then your stomach is like, did you do anything? So try and take a little bit of pressure off the rest of your digestive system and use your teeth, use your digestive enzymes. Smell the food, like taste it, and try and work out like how many flavors are in the food, or like all of those different senses that we have, use them in those mouthfuls. A really good one to teach kids as well is that. They're my two probably favorite things about gut health and about poos is those two, squatty potty and chewing your food. And drink lots of water. That's like I shouldn't even have to say that. We know we have to drink lots of water. Okay, bloating. You've probably all been waiting for bloating. Most of my clients that come to me are like, yes, praise, give me everything with the bloating, because unfortunately it is so common, bloating with women. We don't really talk about it much. We just really feel it. And when someone says, oh yeah, I'm bloated, you're like, oh my God, me too. But then like no one does anything about it. And so whilst it is super common, it ain't normal. It ain't normal in the fact that we don't want to be bloated all the time. There's a difference between bloating and your normal stomach changes when you eat food. And so that's a really big difference. So, when you eat, say, a big meal and just here in your stomach, that part gets a bit bigger when you fill it with food. That's normal. Your stomach needs to expand because it's had something put into it. That's totally fine. We leave that, like that's not bloating. That's just your stomach doing its normal thing. When it is your period, right underneath your belly button is where your uterus is. When you have your period and it's about to shed and you're about to bleed, your uterus will naturally get bigger. Again, that's not bloating. Those two areas are just biomechanical. That is what your body is meant to do. But the bloating is when you are feeling 6 months pregnant. It is distended. It is painful. It is hard as a rock. And you also get some other things like maybe gas, diarrhea, constipation from that, because your body is just like, and oh my God, I have been there. It is horrific and horrible, and I wish it upon no one, because feeling comfortable in your own skin and then not being able to wear anything is the worst thing possible. So I think one side note to say is that if it is something more serious, always get that checked. And that's why I always say just work with someone. You're not meant to know the ins and outs of how the gut works and how our bodies work. Do work with someone to check that there isn't anything more serious going on. But then look at the root cause. Look at the root cause of what is causing it, when did it start, why has your body decided that today broccoli isn't the food that it likes to go into the body, it wants to attack it, all of those types of things. And I've got a couple of tips on bloating. So one is always find the root cause, because I can assure you, you can drink all the peppermint tea you want, but if you bloat again tomorrow, like, you haven't fixed anything, right? You've helped the symptom, you've aided the symptom, but you haven't healed it. These tips that I'm about to give you are more of to help you get through the bloating, but they aren't the root cause of it. Because that is like a whole other conversation for another day, and so individualized, and everyone is so different. But I do want to give you these tips because it will help you get through the time when you aren't seeing a professional, and when you have no idea what the hell's going on. Because again, when you think about, there's quite a few elements that can come into it. Is it a parasite? Is it like SIBO, like overgrowth? Is it inflammation? Is it IBS? Is it leaky gut? There's a few things in there that it could be, and you trying to work it out isn't going to help. It just causes more drama in your mind, and it's so stressful, which again always causes more digestive issues. So 5 of my best tips for you to help eliminate your bloating and help alleviate it. Don't overeat. So like I was saying before, with the slow down, take your time, breathe, have no distractions in front of you, chew your food, allow those digestive enzymes to be released. That will help you not overeat. Every client that I've ever had that just goes, oh my God, I chewed my food a couple extra times and I ate half the food I usually do because I didn't need to finish the plate. I knew when my hunger cues turned on to say, hungry, my full cues turned on. And that's amazing. Then you're not overeating and over stressing the digestive system because it didn't need all that food. So just trying to tune into that, allow you to connect back to your body and see how much food you truly need in each of those settings. Another really good one, and this is a good one when you get, one of the symptoms from this can be diarrhea as well, and that is avoiding sugar alcohols. So you might find these in a lot of packaged foods and things. Anything that ends in "ol" is the easiest way to end it, to remember it. And a lot of them are sugars. So when we're looking at our really healthy foods and thinking that we're making all of the best choices, but they're filled with these sugar alcohols, they can have quite a diuretic effect and make our body go like, oh God, release. So if you're having too many of those, and there's unfortunately are a few healthy foods that do contain more than one, which is usually why we get the reaction from the body, but like sorbitol, erythritol, these types of things are our sugar alcohols, and they can cause quite a lot of bloating in those. So check the packages of foods always to see, because whilst it's like sugar-free or low sugar, they're still adding these ones in that can give us a bit of gut irritation and issues. Another one, coming back to like the slowing down with food, is avoid swallowing air. So for all of us busy people in the world, when we're eating really fast, we're kind of like shoveling it all in, right? We're like, because you can't stop. You've got to eat your dinner in 10 minutes before like someone comes, we get a phone call, the emails go off. If we just slow down, chewed our food, take one deep breath in, one deep breath out, you're in that parasympathetic nervous system, the one that helps us digest. Take a mouthful. You're not going like, you're just taking a normal mouthful and chewing slowly and not trying to swallow all that air in. That will really help, because when we're swallowing heaps of air, we're going to get loads of bloating. We're going to get trapped air, which is going to be that painful feeling that you know all too well, and then a lot of gas after that. So try and avoid that, and eating too quickly just to help your body with that. Another one is peppermint tea. So like I said before, it ain't going to fix your gut, but it definitely does help relieve a bit of pressure and a little bit of tension and a little bit of pain that you get. Peppermint has been proven to improve bloating, and it definitely works. I love sipping on it in the afternoon just to help digest everything. And then my very final tip is more of like a lifestyle one. Again, remember like how I keep coming back to, it ain't always about the food. The whole picture has to come into it to really get to the bottom of what's going on in your body. But these things really, really help. Walking every single day. If I could get everyone to do some walking every day, that would be amazing. Obviously, if you're unfortunately in Victoria and you're only allowed out for a short time, utilize it. Take that advantage of that hour or 2 hours that you have and go for a walk. If you can get your steps from like sitting at a sedentary desk all day in our house for like those probably maybe 1,000 to 2,000 steps that you do, if that, and get it up to like 7,000 steps and keep improving by 1,000 or 500 every week. Make it achievable. By doing that, you're going to increase that blood flow through the body. You're going to help that digestion kick into gear, and it's going to help you eliminate that bloating, alleviate all of those symptoms just because you're moving through your body and your body can do its job. The other couple of things that I really love to do before bed, and these are my very final tips, so thank you for staying on for so long. Digestive massage is a beautiful one. If you are constipated, this is a really, really beautiful one. Just to Google it, there's no better one on the internet that I found. They're all pretty good. But it helps you just massage along your intestines, and it helps you just push things through. So it helps you help your body push it through. So if you're kind of having them really hard poos where you're just like, oh, I know there's still a bit in there and I can't get it out, this will help alleviate that because you're helping the body do that. Magnesium is a really good supplement for that as well. And then the other two things are digestive yoga. I think yoga with Adriene is really cool, but there's loads on the internet again, and loads at different yoga studios. And that's just when we're trying to do lots of twists and turns, because when we do those twists and turns, we're literally like wringing it out. So you're just wringing out anything that's stuck in there, helping push it through. That really helps if you've got trapped wind, trapped gas in there. And then my very final before bed, non-negotiable, is legs up the wall. If you follow me on Instagram, you would know this. If not, start doing it. It's when you're laying on your bed, simply like this, and then you pop your legs up. So you're at that just a bit off 90 degrees, but your legs are resting on the wall. And that just helps all that old blood from your feet, standing on them all day, come back in. Fresh blood goes to your digestive system. Fresh blood gets pumped out to your feet. And it is so calming. If you can't sleep at night, this will change your life because your body instantly goes into that rest and digest and to that chilled out vibe. So when we're in a chilled out vibe, our body can work so much better and it can eliminate so much better. That, my friends, is the very best tip. Yes, Jessica has just said, so stressful trying to do it yourself and get help from a pro. Oh my God. Honestly, that would be my biggest advice always, because it is damn stressful. I mean, there's so much out there. It can be so confusing. So, and again, it's not just working with anyone. Work with someone that you have a connection with, that has the same values as you, that kind of thinks the same way as you. That's really important because they're going to get to know you real well. They're going to get to know your poos. They're going to get to know you deep inside. So really appreciate them and have that same wavelength. One thing to think about, and why I say work with a pro, is if your car broke down or if you had like this random leak, something's just leaking out, you don't go on YouTube or on Instagram and try and see like, how do I fix this? You don't order 10 parts and go, I'll give this one a go, I'll give this one a go, let's see which one works the best. You've wasted like thousands and thousands of dollars and the car's still leaking. You could have just called the mechanic, he'd fix it in an hour and you'd be done. It's the same with our health. We're not meant to know what to do. Not everyone went to school, not everyone went to study it. If you haven't had these issues, you don't even know anyway. So it's really, really important to find someone to work with for that point of view. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. As I said, I could talk all day, so I'm going to close it up now. Otherwise, we'll be here for hours and hours. I've absolutely loved chatting about all of these things, and I really appreciate your time. If you're rewatching this after the live, again, I really appreciate the support and coming and listening to me ramble on. I hope you were able to walk away with a few tips and tricks on bloating and your bowels. Print off the Bristol stool chart for the back of your door. It's a game changer. Get yourself a Squatty potty. Just tuning back into your body and really starting to connect with all of these messages that it is trying to gently send to you before it gives you a big old one and whops you out. But yes, if you have any questions, please feel free to add them and I can come back into the group and answer them as well if you're watching this off the live. But again, thank you guys so much. I hope you've had the most amazing day so far. Enjoy your afternoons and hopefully I will see you all again soon. Bye.